Abdul al-Sayed was in a tight dialogue with a fluent and free and intelligent journalist. I was quite impressed. Who asked him a question de jour. This is several days before Michigan nominated him for Senate. Probably insisted on by his editor at home. Do you agree with Hassan Abi? Abdul said no. Not on everything. Then the reporter followed up out of the best-selling Journalist 101. How does it look to people that you let him campaign for you? I hissed in the car, journalist, do you know what democracy is at all? Hassan isn't running. That he campaigns for Abdul means he agrees with Abdul, not the other way around. This is how it works in the rather flaccid representative version of democracy we imagine is biblical and ordained by you-know-who. The candidate tells you his or her heart as near as damn it. Hassan hears him and says, let me go do what I can and endorse him. Hassan agrees with Abdul. That's all, not the other way around. Maybe it isn't a question you'd ask, but I would in my quiet time, that he and Zoran share a language, let's call it. We don't hear in politics in this country. They haven't dropped a G yet. Working people are not working or doing or complaining yet. I was so bummed when Obama did it, then went to town on hunting and fishing for a couple of years. They are not folksy, they are fast and comprehensive and glaring. Now, is this trait Islamic? I'd ask without fear nor judgment, is there a different, more effective way of arguing in that cult, more effective than the Christian mean? If it is that, bigots beware. It might be tucked into their Marxism. I know you all hate that, but the arguments are cleaner than capitalism. Or maybe they're just very gifted dudes. Whoever Haley is talking to and affecting is another species for me. I just can't get there. Truly like Kamala. There must be a political constituency, I know, I argue with them, that wallows in platitudes, loves mediocrity and joy. I hope we are seeing a change of that guard. If Abdul wins tonight, he did, and beats the contender, I will be very happy. And to connect to my poor journalist, not because I agree with him or them on everything. I like the vigor, the intelligence, and the attack. If he wins, it will prove that a community as vigorous, brave, and reckless as NYC lives everywhere in this country. If he wins, the current generation of journalists should fire themselves and start again. I'm trying gently because I know the distraught and unaware nature of the adults who walk this world to persuade you to elect a qualified leader of the free world, equal to the task, at least that they set themselves. Watching what Washington Democrats did last night and what Michiganders nearly did, I do despair. And I'm also sure whatever enabled Trump twice has not gone away. Democrats are selecting, I guess, who they want, who they think will challenge him or his ilk every 4 years like water torture and are failing. If you want to resurrect this America, you'll need sterner stuff than Kamala. It doesn't need me to tell you. If the evidence of her rareness is an admission that after years of canoodling with the private sector, she at last doesn't trust them at 61, I'd say there's a decent dull book in it, but Saving America or Civilization, not so much. And then I ran into this issue, which is fascinating to me now, with Abdul and Hassan and Zoran, 3 Muslim chaps, who I like very much, and I'm not sure that I trust them, but I don't know them. So, which is the point that flashed into my head: is Hassan Abi to a large enough community in this country the new David Duke? In other words, his outpourings, his exclamations, really, he's an exclaiming chap on his show about Hamas and all that sort of stuff, are not things I object to, because I there's a big streak in me about whatever you want to call them, freedom fighters or people rebelling against occupation, ever since the Sakari did originally back in the day, and since Boudica did back in the day, against Roman occupation. But that is what is coming into place. So what we're getting is the DSA, or progressive Democrats, and a progressive Democrat, any Democrat. I'm a socialist, so there we are. But any of they are now, the media, the right-wing media, and the Democrat media, which is the right-wing media, is now operating on this idea that Hassan Abi is this dangerous terrorist-supporting creature, like a pariah like David Duke. And so these quite astonishing Islamic men making the headway that they're making in US politics is now being focused on as if a right-wing revolution is coming, that a Klan is coming. And then they've connected that to their relationship to socialism. And that's going to be the battle ahead. As James Carville, I'm not going to be in a party with that Hassan Abi kind of thing. That's fine, but do know where you are when you reject these people, men and women. Do know where you are. There's Adam Smith chap out there in Washington. God knows who would vote for him. What kind of person votes for him? And what kind of person votes for that strange sounding person in Michigan? I just, that's beyond me, but that's me. And I'm also interested in this idea that people keep saying, well, they spent millions and millions of dollars, as if the tipping point in any election in a democratic country, as we insist that it is how much money you can spend on really, really banal commercials. I mean, they're so lowest common denominator, the political commercials, but they're saying in America that is the tipping point in it. And it reminds me of that the Hellenic, the Greek notion of the libertarian, the man who does not, the person who does not want to engage in the political life of the polis, is, the Greeks call them idiots. The word originates there. People who do not want to participate. And amongst a million things that I think the internet is good at is I think that people are finding themselves quite violently and in a bigoted fashion, finding available to them an agora, and it's ugly right now. It's absolutely ugly. But the thoughts, rather like my thing about bigotry and anti-Semitism and all the rest of it. The hate has been there for a long time. God knows how many thousands of years. The hatred has been there, and it's part of European culture. It may be part of all the other cultures. I just don't know, but it's been there a long time. And what I would say or hope is that the internet provides us with as democratic a machine as we've ever had. To think nostalgically of the days when we had Walter Cronkite and the various other preachers at their pulpits telling us everything was groovy, are over. And where many people who I otherwise adore are telling me that the root of all evil is the internet and all that sort of stuff, I have to say exactly the opposite. Yeah.